Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very proud to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show comes to you live from the Frank Walker Law Studios. Cheers and salutations, everyone. I see we've got Vinny and Tom already in the chat. And if you're out there watching, feel free, jump on in. We don't bite. I mean, we claw a little, but we don't bite.
Might talk a little trash.
A little trash, yeah. As the alcohol flows, the trash talking gets worse, but that's part of the entertainment value, I suppose.
Most of it's aimed at each other, though. It's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. We absolutely love our people in the chat. We just go at each other like crazy. That's, I guess, part of what makes this little family work. Anyway, hope you guys are surviving. I don't know how things have been out on the left coast, but they've been hotter than Hades on this side of the continent. And,
actually not that hot out there. It's just really humid.
Okay, well, today was wicked humid for us. It's been hot, which I don't mind, but man, when the humidity ramps up, it just gets so much worse. No, Zach, your TikTok was not going to kick off the show, although I did think about it. I did think about it. That was some mean dancing, Zach. I got to tell you right there. Welcome in, and
now I got to check it out.
Oh, now you've got to check it out. Yeah, and look, I give Zach credit because he put himself out there. Of course, he's one of those younger people, and put himself out there because I could not do that. I just couldn't. Number one, I can't dance, but number two, I wouldn't put it out there. So kudos to him. Anyway, I don't know where Ian is. I will give you 7 chances to guess what he's doing. But those of you that watch the show know exactly what that means. But before we get to the all quarter century team defense tonight, we did the offense last week. I highly encourage you to go back, check out that program. Again, there's some easy ones and there's some that are always up for debate, and that's what makes this a whole lot of fun. And Ian is with us, which is good because he's got to be able to supply these slides for this defense thing that we're going to be doing.
Can you guys see my screen?
Wait, what?
That's like fucking what the person says on the Teams call all the time. Let me know can you see my screen?
Yeah, I should have known that.
That was a horrible joke to start the script. Let me just log out.
That's totally on me, dude.
Log out, log back in. It's fine. You're good.
I lived through the Zoom. I had to actually teach for like a semester and a half on Zoom, and let me tell you, it's the worst fucking thing I've ever done. It is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, Ian,
Mark, you shouldn't talk like that.
Well, it's past 10 o'clock.
The rest of us can.
That whole FCC thing shuts off after 10. Ian, how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm
just messing with it. Make sure it works. I'm not going to pull it up just yet.
I'm good. I was doing surgery on my PlayStation, which is essentially a DVD Blu-ray player for my children nowadays, because they decided it was a good idea to stick 3 DVDs simultaneously into the PlayStation, and that renders it useless.
Makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had my entire kit of, screwdrivers and drill bits and everything trying to take the thing apart, but it was successful. I got them all out, so I think we're good to go now.
Excellent. You are a man of jack of all trades.
Yes.
They say. It's at least it wasn't like a slice of bologna or something.
No. There were 2 Star Wars and 1 Veggie Tales, which is about par for the course for my children.
There's probably a joke there, but
I don't know.
I'm not picking up right now. Oh man! Before we get to the quarter century all defense team, there's a couple of things I did want to touch on, and Ben and Ian, this might be more up your alley. And no offense, Scarps, maybe it's totally up yours, but
let Ben talk about this.
But yeah, there has been a thing going on, and I think everybody knows the Deshaun Watson contract and what was it, $260 million guaranteed, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
the issue that has come up is collusion by the owners. And Ben, I'll just let you kind of explain. And this, I'll give credit to Mike Florio. He talked about it, and Pablo Torres, the other guy that brought this up. So I want to make sure I'm fair to those guys. And Florio, to his credit, is banging the drum for journalists in the NFL to start asking questions, because neither the players union or the owners are really willing to talk about this. So I'll just leave it at that. Ben, go ahead and fill us in. What exactly does all this mean?
Let's preface this with it was Pablo Torre that really found out about all this. He got the document, he went through it, he figured out what it all meant, and he's really the guy who put it out there. So I would encourage everybody who is interested in this to seek out Pablo Torre Finds Out, his podcast, watch it, get the document, read it. If it's something you're interested in, if you don't care, you don't. But basically what it comes down to is this: post Deshaun Watson contract. Okay, which everybody at the time fucking laughed about it, because they were like, dude hasn't played a year and a half. He's going to be suspended for another half a season. It ended up being 11 games. And you just paid him $230 million and gave up 3 first-round picks for him. You guys are idiots. Okay. So on the one hand, it's, do you really need a memo from the NFL that says don't do that to understand that that was a bad deal?
Right.
No. But apparently there were numerous emails among the people on Park Avenue at the NFL headquarters, and texts between owners discussing the fact that they weren't going to do this. They were never going to allow this to happen again. They were not going to fully guarantee contracts. Despite that, Kirk Cousins has gotten a couple of huge deals. Dak Prescott has gotten some ridiculous deals. Dak Prescott's made $430 million in 9 years, dude.
Not bad.
That is a master class in working the contract structure.
There's hope for mid quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Those guys have given classes on how to secure the bag, and they're just listening to their agents. But anyway, at that time, Lamar Jackson was up, Russell Wilson was up, and because he'd just been traded to the Broncos, and Kyler Murray. They were all up for new deals. And so there was pressure on those 3 teams, the Ravens, the Broncos, and the Cardinals, not to do fully guaranteed deals. And it was discussed in the open. That's where we're talking about collusion. Kyler Murray ultimately did not get a fully guaranteed deal. What they did was they put a lot of incentives in his deal that he had to meet in order to reach guarantees. And they were unrealistic. He was never going to reach them.
Right.
And they were so unrealistic that it was like, don't spend 300 hours playing Call of Duty.
Right. But it was after they did the deal, Dean Spanos sent Michael Bidwell a text and said, hey, great job on that contract. That'll really help us out next year with our guy. Okay. So again, collusion. The arbitrator acknowledged all of these things, acknowledged the fact that not a single team reached out to Lamar Jackson, even though he just won the MVP, and said, hey, here's the framework of a deal. Would you like to sign it? It was an open secret, though, that whatever happened, the Ravens were going to match. So again, there were texts that proved that point too. So it's like, do you want to do all the work negotiating a deal with a player when you know his team is just gonna match whatever that is? They're just gonna match.
So Ben, the collusion is, for lack of a better, and I'll really boil this down to like elementary. It's not good, right? Because it shows
it's cheating. They're supposed to operate as 32 separate competing entities.
Correct.
Instead, they were working together to keep quarterback salaries down. So when Mike Florio talks about it being a labor law violation, Mike is a labor law attorney by trade.
And that's, like him or not, I do adhere to Florio on those types of things because that's what he does.
Correct. Zach, the salary cap is in itself collusion. However, it's collectively negotiated with the NFLPA, so it's out in the open. It's not really collusion. This was supposed to be a secret. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson asked the Broncos for 7 years total. He wanted $50 million a year, fully guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos obviously didn't do that, but they did. There were conversations within the organization about whether or not Russell was worth it. He still had 2 years left on his deal. Why do we have to give him an extension at all? Yada, yada, yada. Let's just see what happens.
Right.
Eventually, they did give him an extension. They just didn't give him what he wanted. I'm sure they were greatly relieved after they saw him play. Yeah. So I don't really see the collusion angle there. They were discussing his contract internally. There were some texts sent to the new owners of the Broncos, who were Walmart heirs.
Yep.
About that process, but there wasn't really any response other than, yeah, we're looking at it. We're not sure what we're going to do. And that was really it. The big ones were the deal with Lamar Jackson and nobody reaching out to him. In fact, Arthur Blank saying, well, his playing style could lead to injury. And even though we need a quarterback and he's the MVP and it looks like he's available for 2 first-round picks, we're not going to go that direction because we're concerned that could be a bad contract for us. And he even referenced the Deshaun Watson contract.
So what will this do going forward, or do we?
I don't think it's going to do much because the arbitrator ruled against the NFLPA and said, yes, there was some collusion amongst the owners, and it is more than likely that the NFL was encouraging these owners not to do fully guaranteed deals. However, again, common sense dictates that you didn't really need a memo to know that the Deshaun Watson deal was a bad deal and that you should not get involved in a deal like that.
And that owners talk anyway.
Yeah.
They just do. And obviously you don't want to be so naive as to leave too many emails and texts and whatnot. But so I wanted to address that. The other thing I wanted to address too was much more tied to the Steelers, is that your favorite and ours, George Pickens, obviously was traded to Dallas, but had told the company that runs these camps, what they do quite simply is they contract to these players. They have them host camps for kids. Kids usually get like a picture, an autograph, and they go out and they throw the ball around. They do some drills, and there's usually high school coaches and players involved and that kind of stuff. And everybody has a good time and goes on their way. Pickens told them he was still going to do it despite being traded to Dallas, and then kind of at the last minute said, no, I'm not coming. And thankfully, Pat Freiermuth stepped up to the plate, and
kudos
it sounds like
Freiermuth.
Yeah, absolute kudos.
Big kudos to Freiermuth for coming through and
didn't have to.
Yeah.
Yep. And it sounds like some other players
doing the right thing, but basically just stepping up and filling the void there where he saw a need. And I much respect.
Yeah, it is. And my understanding is some other players are going to be there. And according to the press release the company put out, they're going to go, pretty out of their way to really give these kids a great day with autographs and pictures and money off on future camps. And so, again, I didn't want to make too much of it, but I think at the same time, it is indicative. It's indicative of the two types of people that we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and I'll just leave it at that. And I would be remiss if we didn't mention that Aaron Rodgers made an appearance on the Pat McAfee show this week.
He doesn't like attention, Mark. Shut up.
I know he doesn't, so therefore I'm going to give it to him. Yeah, look, it was fine. There were times when it was far worse. Scarps, I know you're a big fan of Rodgers, and what did you have to take away from his appearance?
And I mean this. I am warming up to him a little bit. I am, but
I think a lot of people are. Yeah.
But there's just still something about this whole situation that I'm just being real. Like there's something about this whole situation that I still don't like. And I posted today to sort of have a dialogue about it, and I don't get how you say you don't want attention, but you continue to go on the Pat McAfee show, and I mean that Pat's show gets hundreds of millions of viewers. I mean, it is a huge. Now, and as Steelers Twitter quickly reminded me that it didn't used to get a lot of viewers, and he used to go on the show when it was just a podcast. And did you know that he played with AJ Hawk? Holy shit, I had no idea that Aaron Rodgers and AJ Hawk were on the Packers together. I had no idea.
You got to be kidding me.
So thank you, Steelers Nation, for enlightening me. I just listen. When you're an NFL quarterback and you're someone who has been as great as he has in this league, I mean, he is for sure first ballot Hall of Famer. I still think he has the highest passer rating in league history. And there are certain things that come with the territory. As simple as that. So
yeah,
to act like you don't want the attention, I'm fine with his right to privacy, and I support that. I totally get it. But you can't be a quarterback and be one as good as he is and not expect people to want to know things about you. When you wear a wedding band,
yes,
and someone says, "Is that a wedding ring?" and he says, "Yes." It's kind of like, why? How do you not like? Not to mention, after all the shit we've seen in the news about your relationships, past relationships with Danica Patrick or Shailene Woodley, I believe that's her name, or Olivia Munn, or all these, it just comes with the territory, man. So when you
especially
go on
with all the things those ladies had to say about him afterward,
and
about how they were basically emotionally abusive relationships.
And
he's a terrible person. It's like, well, there are going to be questions now, dude. What do you expect?
Three sides to every story, mine, yours, and the truth. So I want to be fair to him. I want to be fair to him, but also when you go on a show that gets that many viewers, and whether or not you have relationships with them, and you say that you want your right to privacy, but then you also get on there and you control your own narrative. You don't get any tough questions. There's just something about that I don't. There's something about it that doesn't sit right with me. That doesn't mean he's not going to have a good season. That doesn't mean that he's an asshole. That doesn't mean any of that. There's just something about that whole thing. That
I'm pretty sure that
didn't he get an asshole? Didn't he get photographed on the beach in Malibu today and flip the bird to the camera?
Oh, I don't know that. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
In that respect, I do feel for the guy. That type of loss of privacy is one thing, but don't go on a nationally syndicated program like that and I really need privacy. My wife doesn't want anything to do with popular blah blah blah. Then don't talk about it.
Right. It was one thing when Antonio Brown, which at the start of the year he went crazy, kind of said to the local media at training camp, like, "Oh, I don't get any privacy," like, because that's one thing, right? Like, that's the local guys at training camp where you already have to be, you have to talk to them, and when you're like, "Hey, I need a little space," like at the time, I remember thinking, like, "All right, I understand where he's coming from." Now, granted, what would conspire over the next few months would change that tenor quite dramatically, but Rodgers, like Scarps very astutely said, going on a nationally televised program and saying, "Oh, I'm tired of the spotlight, guys." Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
know.
one thing to say it to the local guys. It's another thing to go on.
You're right. And
right.
and look, I'll just sum it up, and I think I speak for all of us. He is the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We want him to do well. It means our team does well. That doesn't mean that we don't believe there's not going to be some significant ups and downs this season. Where it ends up, I have no idea. But we'll talk about that on our preview show coming up later this summer. And by the way, Ian, you did steal my thunder a little bit. I did want to talk in a future show about Rodgers and that mantra that Dan Patrick Show was talking about it this week as well, that for all the accolades, he's lost quite a few games in top moments. So anyway, are we ready to? Yeah.
Not only lost, playoff games, but lost games as the number 1 seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gone one and done as the number 1 seed. Like, it's one thing to talk about Mike Tomlin's playoff failures, which are a valid concern to talk about.
Yep.
But over the last, since that loss to the Browns in 2020, all of our playoff games have been road playoff games where we were the wild card and we were the underdog, right? We had to go to Kansas City. We had to go to Buffalo. We had to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Those are games you really don't expect to win when you're a road playoff wild card team playing a team that sees themselves as Super Bowl contenders. When you're the number 1 seed, the expectations are a lot higher. So I think that plays into the conversation, but we can have that discussion another time.
Agreed. We will. Yeah, it was definitely on my to-do list. Okay. Let's get to what the main topic of this program is tonight. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers quarter-century team defense. We did the offense last week, and I thought we did a pretty good job. Like I said, there's always a few controversial ones. There's some super, super easy ones, but then there's some that there's going to be some debate on, and I expect tonight to be pretty similar to that. So, Ian, you are the master of ceremonies when it comes to the clicks here. So
yes,
I'll let you get it rolling.
Sure. So for those who weren't with us last week, we are selecting both first and second team players. Now that we're on to the defense, we are doing the full 3-4 defensive alignment, plus a punter and a long snapper just for fun. So two defensive ends, a nose tackle, 2 outside linebackers, 2 inside linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, and 2 safeties.
I'd like to welcome Tyler into the show with an absolute banger off the start.
Wow, that's that's Casey-esque. I love it.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ian.
Sorry.
That's fine. No, and for those
Ian,
who
do we have a slot corner in there any place?
We do not have a slot corner. After we could pick one if we want to, but after I looked at the cornerback list, it gets real thin after the first 4 guys.
Well, you got Deshae Townsend, and that's.
Can we fucking do the thing instead?
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Team?
All right. So for
Jesus Christ.
So for those who weren't around last
angry
week,
Scarps.
Fine, but fuck, let's go through the fucking thing, man.
Here's who we picked on our first and second team offense for their positions. I'm not going to read them all. You can go back and watch last week's show.
Plus, I did put it out on the SCB Podcast Twitter if you want to see it too.
So all right, so let's talk defensive ends. Remember, 2 first team, 2 second team guys.
This is
since Scarps is so fired up to do it, I'm gonna have him go first.
It's fine. I'm just like, oh my god, Ben, what the hell, dude? Like, I love you, Ben, but Christ, just fucking let us.
You're that guy in the meetings every Friday, aren't you?
I actually do like efficient meetings, and I'm a talker, but like it gets to the point where I'm like, let's fucking go. Okay, that being said, my two defensive ends, and I'm gonna give him the nod. And I know people are going to be pissed, but my first guy is going to be Aaron Smith.
Yep.
And we talked about this last week. The Super Bowls matter. Yep. And Aaron Smith, I think, is one of the most underrated Steelers defenders of my lifetime. Yes. Northern Colorado. He's also an all-time person, which I always enjoyed. And then Cam is my second. I love Cam. You all know that. I love working with Cam. Mm-hmm. Numbers wise, he definitely has Smith beat, but I got to give Aaron the nod because of Super Bowls and playoff success.
Scarps, real quick, how long was Aaron there when you were there?
He was there 2 years. I believe the second year he hurt his neck, or halfway through the 2010 he hurt his neck.
That's right.
Actually, he did play in 2011. He played in 15 games his final 3 seasons. Tom, you're right. I'm old now. I got to take a leak. But yes, Aaron was great. He used to call me Dirtbag, which
Dirtbag.
He just always. I don't know, it was just funny because I was always around the media, making sure they were in the right places or whatnot. And he like, man, you just kind of look like a dirtbag. I'm like, all right. He didn't. Maybe he did mean it, but he didn't. Anyway.
Oh, that might be the new shirt. Ben, what do you got here? Who are your starting defensive ends?
Same. Aaron Smith, number 1. Because the dude, I'm sorry, nobody gives him credit for this. He was so fucking smart. He would defeat the blocking scheme before the snap. Like, he knew what it was going to be. You couldn't run his direction. You just had to go away from him because you couldn't block the guy. It wasn't like he was a great pass rusher, but he could 2-gap, which honestly, most of the guys that play DN now can't.
Yeah.
And 2, you couldn't run his direction because he knew what the blocking scheme was before you even started before you snapped the ball. And the dude, yeah, I agree with Scarpino. He's under-celebrated. A lot of coaches said as much during his playing days, and then, obviously Cam's got the numbers. Cam's a borderline Hall of Famer. Aaron's never going to be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm still giving the nod to Aaron Smith.
Yeah, and I'll just preempt very quickly. Those are my 2 starters as well. And Vinny asked a question about, a Super Bowl or another Pro Bowl make Cam first ballot. Oof. Boy, what? I don't know. Ian, what do you think? Is a Super Bowl bigger or another All Pro? At his age.
At his age, I mean, a Super Bowl would be definitely the cherry on top of his career to cap everything off.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the Hall of Fame voters care about Super Bowls, though. I think it would mean a lot more for Steelers fans.
True.
That said, I've gone on the record on this show saying that I think Cam Hayward is the greatest Steelers defensive lineman since Joe Green. And Joe Green had 4 All-Pros and 10 Pro Bowls. Granted, he was also a 4-time Super Bowl champion and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. But nevertheless, for Cam to have the same number of All-Pros as Joe Green, I think does say something. And his durability, I mean, 211 games alone. Like, that guy has been an absolute workhorse for this franchise. And I know it doesn't factor into these rankings, but the work he's done off the field has been just as good as the work he's done on the field for this team.
Excellent point.
What he's done in the community has been outstanding through his Hayward House charity and all that other stuff that he's done. So
I'm just going to go ahead and call recency bias from a fucking millennial. I don't know, Mark, what do you think?
Well, I quite absolutely.
All right.
It's a known problem.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. I mean, but I stand by my point, though, that, since Joe Green, I don't think we've in defensive line, right? Not counting edge rushers, but defensive linemen, I don't think we've had another guy like what Cam has done since Joe Green. Aaron Smith is awesome. Aaron Smith is absolutely another pick. I'm in agreement with all of you that Aaron Smith's the first, first team all quarter century team. What he was able to do with 2-gapping and everything else, and he played a completely different scheme than what they play nowadays. They were a 2-gapping scheme. They basically just had to eat up blockers so that the linebackers could flow in and make plays. So they didn't have the same tackles. They didn't get the penetration to get the sacks, all that stuff. But for Cam Hayward, I've said a number of times too on this show and written about it that getting to the double-digit sack total is one of the consistent stats across time in the NFL that puts you in an elite group of pass rushers, whether you're a defensive lineman, edge rusher, whatever. And Cam Hayward has 3 seasons of double-digit sacks in his career, which for an interior defensive lineman is incredible.
No,
Right.
it is, Ian. It is. Ian, I'll stay with you. Go ahead and give us your 2 reserve defensive ends.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Brett Kiesel and Stephon Tuitt. Tuitt's career was cut a little bit short because of some things that happened off the field as well as some injuries.
Yep.
But when Tuitt was healthy and on his game, he was an absolute monster. And Kiesel, for a 7th round pick, arguably one of the best 7th round picks in Steelers history, to be able to have not only the longevity, but to work his way from a backup guy into kind of the key cog on the defensive line to kind of bridge the gap from the Super Bowl years through the next generation. I think he was not only a fan favorite because of the beard and everything else, but he was a really damn good player. He developed into a really good player.
Yeah, no, I agree. Scarps, what do you got for your backups?
I also have Brett Kiesel, 6th round pick, started his career on special teams, and then he was the one who forced the fumble on Kurt Warner in Super Bowl 43 that was picked up by Lamar Woodley. Or wait, hold on. Lamar Woodley forced right. Yes. Yeah. Or no, was it Woodley?
Woodley forced it.
Yeah. Sorry. Woodley forced the fumble. Kiesel recovered it.
That's right.
Yep.
And all right, I'm
if Larry O's going to be on the list, might as well throw me on there.
Try not to laugh at this, but and then I'm going to. I do think Stephon Tuitt was a monster, and unfortunately he was hurt, and then he had some family issues. He stepped away for the game, but I'm going to pick Chemo because, and I'm going to this day, if he. And I'm not saying he did it on purpose.
You're going to go there?
I am going to go there. I am going to go there because
I was going to go there jokingly, but wow.
No, I'm going there because on that play, they hit Chris Henry, rest in peace, for a long gain.
Yeah.
And I absolutely think that the Bengals had a chance in that playoff
until Joe
game.
Kitna came in.
Until John Kitna came in, and then but
that was that.
I that was a absolutely huge momentum type of swing.
No argument
in that, and then they won a Super Bowl. I can't ignore that.
No, I couldn't either. I'm not even going to bother saying that, Scarps, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Ben, who are your reserves?
Well, I'm going to go with Ziggy Hood. Just kidding. He sucked.
Oh, man. That's so mean.
What a dick.
And I was going to say next, well, I'm going to go with Chemo for tearing Carson Palmer's ACL because, hey. But actually, I was just kidding about that, too. So, yeah, it's Kiesel next.
Yeah.
Because of his consistency and his long contributions.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tuitt. And I wish we could go further back. I would have gone somebody like Ray Seals, who I thought was a great player for a while for the Steelers, but that was the 90s. Unfortunately, that doesn't count.
No. I'm with you guys. I would also go Kiesel and Tuitt, and with that special asterisk for Chemo, for exactly the reasons that.
Chemo was a fun player to watch, but he wasn't that good. So
he was a good player, but he wasn't.
And the thing that's fun about Cam that we didn't talk about before is he basically has made his career as a one-trick pony. That left long arm he has, I don't know why he's so good at it, but he just kicks the shit out of guys with that one move. And the dude's 30. He's gonna be 36. I bet he can still do it.
I hope so. Yeah. Ian, take us to the DTs, if you will.
Yeah, I had just one other quick thing to mention here. So the players on the list are organized based on Pro Football References career approximate value rankings. So the ones on top had more. But I mean, we picked Stephon Tuitt over Chemo von Oelhoffen. And then the stats presented are just from since 2000 forward. So for some players, as we move on, that played some time in the 90s and in the 2000s, the stats here are just for what's happened since the 2000s. The one other thing I'll say,
nice clarification.
I wouldn't pick him as one of my top defensive ends of the century because he never actually started a game for us. But holy crap, what I wouldn't give for a guy like Travis Kershke on the current Steelers. Like that dude was a rotational lineman who could step in and play any position you needed him to in any situation. And he was just fine and solid. Now we've got like Isaiah Loudermilk, and he comes in and it's like, well, here comes a 6-yard running play on first down. Like Kershke was just as good in spot situations as any of the other guys.
I like it.
Like he was a really solid depth piece to have.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think that's what the thought was when they signed Dean Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
It just hasn't come to fruition. The dude can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to make a team. I kind of have my doubts, but I'm looking at the depth of the defensive line, and I'm like, he might, because the depth really isn't all that great there.
Yeah.
Because it's like Loudermilk or Lowry or Leal.
Ian, let's go to the interior. Right. What do we got?
Tackle. So we're picking one first team, one second team here.
Ooh, well,
I think first team's a slam.
Can I just preempt and say let's put the big snack in the first team?
Is there really a question?
No, it shouldn't be. I mean,
Casey only had 9 sacks.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I would have thought it was a few more, but
I would have thought it was a lot more. But yeah, I mean, he was primarily a 2-gapping nose tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Just every once in a while, they kick the shit out of the center for fun and grab the quarterback and pull it down.
So, Ben, what do you have as your reserve nose here?
I'd like to go with Hargrave because he of the rest, he was the most talented.
Yeah,
absolutely, no question,
no doubt.
But he played such a short period of time in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to go with Chris Hoke.
Okay,
who's got a couple of rings and started for an entire season when Hampton tore his ACL and played pretty goddamn well. He did.
No, I'm laughing because Mark Malone makes a very valid point. We're still pretending like we play 3-4 most of the time.
I'm telling you, if this is the real Mark Malone, it's amazing. I need to know this.
I really hope it's more like a Mark Malone's mustache kind of an account.
Scarps, I guarantee you that stash is doing the typing for this guy. You know,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in there. Hulk. Good choice there. Scarps, who's your backup?
This is a really good question.
By the way, I'm a little disappointed Melvin's not here tonight. He is personal friends with one member of this list.
Chris Hoke only had 2 sacks. He used to do the hokey pokey when he got him. Really, only 2?
I'm probably gonna have to go with Hokie as well, man. I just like Super Bowl wise, and then Mitch loved Hokie. Like anybody that Mitch liked, I liked. like Mitch.
Hard to disagree, right?
Mitch coached there for a long ass time, and he knew if you were good or not. And Javon Hargrave is a pretty good football player, but he didn't play enough time. And then Steve McClendon, Steve McClendon was a decent player.
Mm-hmm.
He was.
But he literally just could not put it all together, especially early on.
Agree.
And if he did, he probably would have leaped all of these other guys except Casey. So I'm going to look at a guy. Yeah, I'm going with Hoke. He was reliable, dependable, and he was trusted by Mitch. So that's all.
I will also go Hoke. Ian, who do you got?
Wow, I thought I was going to be the only one picking Chris Hoke here, but it's unanimous on Hoke. I said this last week. Rings matter to me.
They do.
What Ben said about Hoke stepping in for Casey Hampton that year, that was the 2004 season when we went 15-1 and went to the AFC Championship game, and Hoke stepped in and it seemed like that team didn't miss a beat up front. I mean, obviously he didn't have the girth of Casey Hampton, but he was a really solid rotational player who could step in when you needed him. And I mean, to play 114 games over, I think it was 8 or 9 seasons for us, 8 seasons, the contributions he made, the longevity, the time commitment, and also the rings matter a lot to me. So it's Coke for me too.
Steve
Ian does love Earth. That's a solid reference, Aaron.
It's funny.
Well played, Aaron.
Well done,
Thank
Aaron.
you for your contributions, Aaron. That was fantastic.
real quick. We can go. But Steve McClendon has a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers.
Yes,
He does. You're right. You're
But
right.
he didn't win it for us, so it
McClendon
wasn't
was-
on the chart.
No.
McClendon
I'm just
was-
I'm just
Just
saying.
throwing that out there. Yeah.
McClendon was just a better fit in a 43 scheme than he was.
Yeah. I think
34.
you're right.
He just
Yeah.
was.
And Hargrave's best seasons were in San Francisco. Like he played fine. He was fine for us.
Yeah.
But for his first 3 years here, we took him off the field on third downs. It took him till his 4th year to figure
that
out
was
how to play
stupid.
on third downs.
Yeah.
So
we never understood that, did we?
yeah, I didn't either.
We bitched about it loudly on this show.
Yes.
Numerous times. Let's see. I
All
think we're good there.
Let's
Outside
have some
linebacker.
fun here. This one's gonna be good.
I think this is going
This
to
is actually harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Is anyone volunteering to go first?
Fuck you, Mark.
All right, I will.
Wow.
Okay. I'm with Ian on many of these when we talk about Super Bowls mattering. They just do. But you can't overlook what TJ Watt has done. And so therefore he's going to be one of my guys. And the
Is he
second
your first
one,
guy or your second guy?
well, he's going to be my first guy.
Okay.
He's my first guy. There's some other guys on here I love. I really do. I mean, I love Gilden and obviously they shot me in Denver and Woodley, but I got to go with James Harrison. I think just when you look at you just look at the overall impact that he had, not just the 1 year he was Defensive Player of the Year, but just strictly his presence, I think, on that defense in and of itself meant a lot. So I'll go with those top two.
Among Watt, Harrison, Porter, Woodley, Gilden, you really couldn't go wrong choosing any of those guys as the first team.
No, and that's why I think we all kind of took a deep breath when Ian pulled up this page, because you could make arguments. For me, I'm gonna go Watt, I'm gonna go Harrison, and I'll just leave it at that. Scarps, you go next.
Oh man. Oh boy. I'm gonna say it, and I don't care. My first team, my one of one, is James Harrison.
Hater.
And then how am I a hater?
I'm just kidding.
And then my other first team is Peasy.
Wow.
Oh
wow. He is a hater. He does not like Trent Jordan.
I don't dislike Trent Jordan. I get it. Go ahead.
No, I get where you're going, Scarps. He hasn't won shit.
It's not even so much that he won shit. I just like holy, like James
we're
Harrison.
looking at the position. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Harrison and Porter and Woodley and Gilden even, and those guys were a piece of a great defense. Great. And Mel Blount looked at the Steelers defense last year, and he said, you got a couple of guys, and he didn't even mention Minka, but he said you got Cam and you got TJ, and beyond that, you got a bunch of guys, and that's it. And if you want to win a championship, you need better players than this.
Vinny,
he just said it.
Vinny, I think why
point.
For sure.
Why is TJ a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Stats.
Why are we?
I mean, it's simply stats. I mean, he's,
what happens if he never? What happens if he only plays 10 more games in his career?
Just like his brother, he has a relentless style of play,
and people love that.
Keeps stacking up stats because he never quits on plays. That being the case,
okay,
dude will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay, but when besides the quarterback position, when do you get to say, well, he didn't win anything for a position?
Yeah.
Marino never won the big one, but Marino clearly a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but
so
I mean,
we're just gonna apply that to
the
guys.
Saints have had a handful of linebackers that were first ballot Hall of Famers that never won a championship either.
So
go ahead.
I just threw together real quick. These are some guys that have made the Hall of Fame, but never won a playoff game. All right,
never won a playoff game.
Correct. Calvin Johnson, okay, Megatron. Joe DeLamielleure, some of you guys remember him.
Yes.
Y.A. Tittle, Sammy Baugh. Granted,
Y.A. Tittle never won a fucking playoff game. Really?
No.
Sammy Baugh played for the Browns for a while, didn't he?
I'm not.
No, he played for the Redskins.
He was red. Yeah. Cortez Kennedy, I thought he was on the Seahawks.
He played for the Seahawks almost the entire and that dude
never won a playoff game.
A monster.
So it just, I mean, I think I see where Scarps is going here. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Scarps, by any stretch. But if he doesn't win a postseason game, it has to factor in.
It illustrates the point that football is the ultimate team game. You can be a great individual, but it doesn't mean shit if you're not surrounded by a great cast, or at least a good cast, right?
Right.
I think there are definitely players that can elevate the team.
Some guys just have that ability.
Yeah, and I think that all the protection being shifted to Watt's side does help the guys on the other side. But you have made some points about Watt not producing in playoff games, for example. And I think they're valid. And I think that he needs to if he wants to have a legacy, he is going to have to do better in playoff games.
And here's let me just make this quick. What is this? Okay, we're everybody in the chat, and we love you all, and it's not personal by any means. Okay, we keep hearing about the stats. It's the TJ stats. It's the stats. Would you rather have 28 less sacks, but 2 Super Bowls, 40 less sacks and a Super Bowl than to have TJ stats? Because I'm going to take James Harrison and Joey Porter all day, every day over TJ Watt, because they fucking showed up when it mattered most.
That couple of years when Harrison and Woodley were at the top of their game together, it was like, who are you going to block?
Correct.
What are you going to do? You got to stop one of them. Good luck.
No, to your question, Scarps, I agree with you. I would take take the less sacks and the 2 trophies any day. But this is what we have. But I'm with you.
I'll go.
So who's going next?
I'll go.
To the point.
Yeah,
that was my fault.
It's okay. No, it's a good conversation. So my first choice is James Harrison, because as I've said before, Super Bowls matter to me, and Harrison not only has 2 Super Bowls, but also has one of the greatest individual plays in Super Bowl history. I mean, the sad thing is it wasn't even the best play in that game because of Santonio Hall's catch.
I don't know, dude. That might have been the best play in that game.
It just gets overshadowed by the obvious.
Yeah. I mean, that was a 14-point swing right there. It was. Yeah. And it was solely an individual. It was one of the rare times when it was solely an individual play that he made the decision not to blitz, even though the call was for him to blitz, because he saw something and said, they're going to throw this hot route and I'm going to drop and he's going to throw it right to me. And it fucking happened, right?
Yeah,
and then, I mean, I remember sitting there because there was like 7 or 8 seconds left when that play happened. I remember sitting there like, okay, we stopped him. And then he's running. And I'm like, okay, like now we're in field goal range. Like, go down or get out of bounds so we can kick a field goal.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. Just go to Go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Go out of bounds so we can get 3 points.
And then he's like at the 10-yard line and time's run out. And I'm like, he might fucking score. And then, and Harrison being a defensive player of the year. And let's not forget, too, that when James Harrison retired, he had the most sacks in Steelers history.
He did.
He was the first player in Steelers history to have 16 sacks in a season. So he set a lot of records, even though Watt later broke them. But Harrison is my first choice for everything that he did that was record breaking at the time. That said, Watt is the current record holder in so many categories. Was also a defensive player of the year, and I got to go with TJ for my second choice. So Harrison is first for me, and Watt is second.
Ben, who are your starters?
I think it's important to point out that Harrison probably would have won more than one DPOY if he wasn't on the same team with Troy Polamalu.
True.
I was going to talk about. All right. Can I? I was going to talk about this later.
No, we'll get to that when we get to safeties.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk about it later then.
Save it for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I had a point on that same thing, but yeah.
Harrison probably would have won more DPOYs, Defensive Player of the Year, if he was on the same team with Troy Polamalu, because they split the vote amongst themselves. Okay, so there's that. But again, and I don't know who pointed it out, but it's what I was thinking when this list came up. The only guy on this list who is definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, is TJ Watt. And he hasn't won anything yet. And he's not part of a great defense. I don't give a shit who you are. If you think this is an elite defense, you're an idiot. It's not. This is not an elite defense. There are some elite players on it. It is not an elite defense.
Yes.
We've seen an elite defense. Maybe if you're in your 20s, you don't remember it, but we've seen that, and this ain't it. We've seen the real thing. This is not that.
No argument. Who's your backup then, Ben?
My next guy is James Harrison, and
I'm sorry, I thought you had your top two.
For the reason, my top guy's Watt. My next guy is James Harrison for all the reasons that Ian's already mentioned. My backups, God, I mean, it's just, seriously, it's hard now. Even I'm looking at this and I'm like, fuck. Okay, Porter, for all the emotional energy he brought to those teams, and yes, he won a ring, and that's huge. And God, Woodley or Gilden? I'm gonna go Woodley, only because for that couple of years that Woodley and Harrison were both in their prime, it was ridiculous. It was like I said, pick your poison. You're fucked. If you try to stop one, the other is going through.
If you could take Gilden's entire career versus Woodley's entire career, who would you take?
I would take Gilden.
Okay.
But Woodley does have a ring, and Woodley played very, very well in playoff games. Ridiculously well, which is why I'm giving him the nod. Now, as far as Gilden goes, Gilden was kind of a one-trick pony. All he could do was bull rush, but damn, the dude was a truck.
He was.
Nobody could stop him at all. You couldn't do it.
Ian, who are your reserves?
Yeah, so I absolutely loved Lamar Woodley as a player. I had a jersey, and what he did in the postseason, I'm going to be consistent with what I've said earlier, that rings matter. And he came in as part of Tomlin's inaugural draft class in 2007 and I think he had multiple sacks in his first 4 or 5 playoff games, because I know he had 2 in the Jacksonville game in 2007 that we lost. And then he had 2 in every game in 2008 that we went on to win the Super Bowl. And I think he had 2 in at least one game in 2010, maybe more. So he had multiple sacks in like 4 or 5 straight playoff games, which is just unheard of for a player to do. So I'm picking Woodley. Definitely is one of mine. And I do want to say to your point about Jason Gilden, like he joined the team. He was drafted in 2004. Became not 2004. Sorry, he was drafted in 94. Became a starter in 96. And so these 2000s years were really like the sort of tail end of his Pittsburgh career.
Right.
Like he played here for 10 years, and we're just looking at the last 4 years. But in the last 4 years of his career in Pittsburgh, for him to have that many sacks, like Jason Gilden had 80 career sacks, and 40 and a half of them came in his last 4 years. Like you don't really expect that out of a player, for him to kind of get better as time goes on, but he did get better as time went on, and had a first team All-Pro in 2001, the year he went to the AFC Championship game, and probably should have won if the Patriots weren't dirty fucking cheaters. And so I do want to recognize what Gilden did for this team, but I have to go with Porter, because he almost single-handedly won that game in Indianapolis on the road to Super Bowl 40. So not only the other stuff that happened off the field, or him tackling the Cleveland Browns fan that ran on the field, all the other stuff that Joey Porter did. And Porter was still very good after he left Pittsburgh too. But I said last week, I said again, rings matter, and I'm going with Porter and Woodley.
Didn't Porter also get in the fight pregame and got kicked out of the game?
that was James Harrison's first start, and
that's right.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, James Harrison owes his career to
Joey
Porter.
Joey
Porter and William Green getting in that fight. Like that is what put James Harrison on the map.
Scarps, did I get
and
your
the great story out of that game is Bill Cowher telling it that like Harrison wouldn't come out of the game,
wouldn't come off the field,
and I don't know if it was LeBeau or who was the defensive coordinator, was like, he won't come out, and Bill's like, take him out, and LeBeau's you tell, or no,
it was Butts. It was Butts. It was Butts. Butts wanted him to come out. He's like, he won't come out. Make him come out, and Howard's like, make him come out. I'm not making him come out.
So they just left him in, because even the coaches were afraid of James Harrison.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Scarps, did we get your reserve? I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I got TJ as my first team reserve, and then Woodley.
Hater.
Very good. Very good.
And it sucks because Jason Gilden was the all-time sack leader for a long time. He was. But and this is the 2000s and beyond, and so
I was, by the way, a little surprised to see no votes for Jarvis Jones.
Fuck you, Mark. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, you could make a case that Jason Gilden should be like first team. Like the dude was a good player.
Oh yeah, I mean, if somebody totally decided to go with him, I'm not going to sit here and make much of an argument. I mean, like, he was that good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that Jason Worlds was going to be another Jason Gilden. Unfortunately, as Zach pointed out, he had other aims in life, and he
did. And I hope he's doing well.
Knock on some doors.
Next up, Ian, what do we got?
Oh, Mark, are you in agreement then too on Porter and Woodley?
Absolutely. Yep, those would be my guys too.
Cool. So next we're on to inside linebacker. So two first team, two second team. Yeah, exactly. This is not easy either.
Kendrell Bell, really? And Ryan Shazier's below Kendrell Bell?
I only had so much room on the slide for stats, but yeah, Shazier was below Kendrell Bell for yes.
Wow.
Kendrell Bell was really, really friggin' good for
1 year.
He had that, yeah. Ian, go ahead and
all right. I mean, so Potsy is obviously the first choice here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ferrier was like having another
Devin
coach.
Bush. Hi, Zach. That's pretty funny. You're a funny guy, Zach. Funny guy.
I mean, Potsy, Dick LeBeau even said it's like having me out there on the field with the team, right? So, I mean, Ferrier, arguably one of the greatest free agent signings in Steelers history, and really for all the talent that was around him on that defense, he was the centerpiece and kind of the brainchild of it all that kind of got everything rolling. So Potsy's my first choice. Yeah. And I'm going to go with Lawrence Timmons for my second choice. Timmons gave you everything you could ask for out of a first-round pick. He didn't necessarily have all the stats, but he also was willing to do whatever the team needed of him.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, and played outside linebacker when guys got hurt, played inside linebacker very well, could cover, could blitz, and
John Bostic.
So Ferrier and Timmons are my two choices.
That was Vince on Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
it was everybody. I'm trying to think here. Timmons played some, and I don't know if you mentioned that, Ian, in your dialogue there. He played some outside backer when he was forced to as well.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who listened to the comments.
Well, I'm trying to read and listen at the same time, and I can't multitask. It's past 10.
And we've had some drinks.
Which, by the way, you can get that at our online store. Scarps, what do you got? Who's your two ILBs? You're bucking.
Yeah, Ferrier. Yeah. Ferrier, absolutely. One of one.
The chat is just pulling up every random name.
Mark Barron. Yeah.
This is why we love those. This is why we love these.
I will never forgive Mark Barron.
LG Fort. Fuck yeah, Zach. You're right.
I will never forgive Mark Barron for tearing Ben's ACL.
I was going to say
with the Rams.
Another wonderful young man, inside linebacker, Steven Johnson.
51.
So I got to go with Ferrier, and then Timmons.
Timmy.
All right, Ben, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Ferrier because he's the obvious choice. He's number one. So we're only doing one inside linebacker.
No, two.
We're doing two. So we're doing four, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Ferrier and Foote because Larry Foote has two rings and was a solid player for a long time for the Steelers.
Yep.
Love the guy. Started in front of Timmons for a number of seasons. Roll that.
Yeah, you stole my thunder a little bit, Ben. I'm going to go with Ferrier and Foote as well. Watching Larry Foote on that classic X Blitz, man, that dude just had an absolute knack for getting to the quarterback.
Yeah. Understanding a blocking scheme. Understanding a blocking scheme before the snap. You understand the blocking scheme before the snap, and you can get there.
He was good at it, and that is no disrespect at all to Lawrence Timmons.
No, great player. This is a really hard list. It is.
I'll go with Larry, and of course, it also helps, Aaron, that Larry was a Michigan Wolverine as well. So, who else needs to give us the starters? Anybody?
No. So we all said Ferrier, and we've got 2 votes for Timmons.
You got backups. So go with your backups, Mark. Who are they?
Oh boy. Okay.
So we don't have a second first team ILB yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Oh, we have a tie.
Split.
We're split.
We're split.
We'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
The problem is that I agree with many of what the guys in the chat are saying, that I think Shazier's trajectory was going to be just ridiculously good. The problem, of course, is we never got to see that.
Well, there's that, and the fact that he played at Ohio State. So.
Well, that's also an excellent point.
I mean, -1 for that.
Yeah, so I with that in mind, and just going based on what I have seen and guys that have played experience-wise, I'll go with Timmons. And I have always loved me some Vince Williams. So give me Timmons and Vince.
Okay.
Vince was a 6th round comp pick, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he start for 6 years? I mean, he had no business.
And he retired when he could have kept playing. He was
for sure.
I don't want to keep doing this
anymore. For sure. But that's no disrespect to Shazier, because he would have been outstanding. Yeah. Ian, what do you got for your backups?
So I had Timmons on my first team. So my second team is Larry Foote for all the aforementioned reasons of what he did as part of those Super Bowl teams. But let's not forget that on the second Super Bowl team in 2008, Foote was basically just the rundown guy, and they were bringing in Lawrence Timmons on the pass downs. So they were platooning them, and the pass that the Cardinals tight end, I think it was Leonard Pope, but I could be wrong, caught in the end zone in the Super Bowl was over Larry Foote, not over Lawrence Timmons. But nevertheless, Foote and Vince Williams are my 2 second team guys.
Oh, wow.
Shazier and Kendrell Bell were both outstanding for very short.
For Vince
You're fucking. Who is taking Vince Williams in this?
I agree.
I am all over Vince Williams, and I will die on this hill.
Oh, Vince, you are. What the fuck are we doing?
No, I mean, for once, I agree with Scarpino, which is weird. But
thank you, Ben.
Because he's always wrong.
I got to go with Vince. He was a very solid player for a long
I love him,
time.
but was he good?
Again, I am going strictly on.
He was serviceable. He was likable.
I mean, Shazier.
I mean, Duck Hodges was likable too, but he's not getting any awards.
No, he's surely not. But I am standing my ground.
Landon Roberts. God damn it.
Who should really still be on this team. But
I know.
He really should, yes. But I mean, if we're putting a Landon Roberts on for the play on the goal line, we should put Robert Spillane on for stuffing Derrick Henry, right?
Put Robert Spillane over Vince Williams.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
All right.
And he fixed your HVAC system. Wow, he came to you.
Yeah, you're fucking right, Ben.
I mean, think about all the HVAC contributions.
Call Spillane's HVAC 1-800.
We got Rogers, Rogers, Rooters, and Spillane HVAC. We're fucking ready to go.
If Ben and Scarps can make a good case for either Kendrell Bell or Ryan Shazier, I'm open to listening to them on this one.
Right. Well,
I'm open to it.
Let's go. Going first, Scarpino, or am I?
Scarps, what's your 2 reserve guys, Scarps?
Larry Foote and Ryan Shazier. Like Ryan Shazier struggled early on, and he has talked about that. But once that dude understood, that dude was on a trajectory to be one of the greatest Steelers defenders that in my lifetime. I'm not saying he was going to be greater than Troy or any of these guys, but that dude was fast as hell. He had great ball instincts, and unfortunately, he had a career-ending injury. And good for Vince, 6th round pick who was fortunate to play a lot of games, and he started some games. But yes, he is an absolute overachiever. Ryan Shazier was a 1st round pick, and I remember when he got selected, people were like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" What are we doing? They said the same shit about Joe Green. And if Ryan Shazier was fortunate enough to stay healthy, they probably go to the Super Bowl in 2017.
That is true. That is very true.
Maybe win it. And we've still to this day, that's twice today. And I'm saying to this day, we're still trying to replace Ryan Shazier. So when everybody sits there and says, "Oh, Kevin Colbert didn't know how to draft," blah, 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 Ryan Shazier was on his way to a Hall of Fame career.
100%.
So if we want to talk about, TJ's never won a playoff game, but he has all these stats. Okay, fucking give me the same type of slack for Ryan Shazier.
I mean, we don't win that game in Cincinnati if Ryan Shazier doesn't rip that ball out.
Nope.
Yeah.
Recovered by Ross Cockrell. And you all say they didn't have defenders. Shut up. All right.
They didn't have defenders.
So do we have our 4 guys?
No. I haven't.
My bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So my next my first second teamer is Ryan Shazier.
Okay.
Because of his talent level, because of the things that he actually did contribute. And no, I'm not voting for fucking Vince Williams. I think the 2 of you are idiots, just like Scarps. So
wait, am I an idiot or I'm on your side?
No, you're on my side.
Okay, there we go.
I said I think you 2 are idiots, just like Scarpino thinks you 2 are idiots.
I didn't say they were idiots. I'm just saying
they are.
Get it.
So it's Shazier, and then Timmons is my last backup.
Okay.
Oh,
all right. So what's our totals here, Ian?
So Ben had Shazier at technically number 3.
Okay. I did.
And then Timmons at number 4.
Yep.
So I guess I guess that does, if we're voting like 1 through 4 here.
Yeah, that's the way it's got to be. I think at this point, this is
difficult. So I think it does give Foot the slight edge at number 2, with 2 second place votes and 2 third place votes, and then Timmons I think would be number 3 with 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth, and then I guess Shazier would be next with a third and a fourth versus 2 fourths for Vince Williams. So
like rank choice voting.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to do my best here.
You
right?
are.
And as you should. And that's the way to do this, because that's actually a really difficult ballot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's as soon as it came.
This might have been the most fun one we've done so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Ryan,
for sure. But actually, we haven't done safeties yet.
What we got? Cornerbacks or safeties?
Cornerbacks are next. And like, look at this list, and you'll see why I said we should not do slot corners. Like, it drops off so fucking fast. Like,
wow.
Wow. I'll go first if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. Ike's number 1.
Ike is clearly number 1, and Deshae is number 2.
Deshae is like the inside guy, though.
Yeah, but he played outside a bit too. He played inside. He played inside later in his career, but early on, when
he played inside his entire career in Pittsburgh,
no. Early on,
he played some inside, outside early on. I get it, but
let Ian finish, please. Thank you.
Early on, when we had the combination of Chad Scott and Dwayne Washington, who after their football careers went on to open a furniture store that was the home of the 15-yard cushion. Deshae Townsend.
That was the scheme. That was the scheme.
Deshae Townsend stepped in after Dwayne Washington got benched for sucking ass and played really darn well.
I think Ian's been sitting on that one for like the last hour.
Oh my God, I'm fucking crying.
Now Ryan's going. I'm laughing because Ryan's laughing.
Home with a 15-yard cushion.
Did Joe Hayden really play 68 games with the Steelers?
Yeah, he did.
That's like 3 Casey's. 3 Casey-isms.
I didn't realize that Joe Hayden played 68 fucking games with the Steelers.
I didn't realize he had 10 picks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize he played 68 games. Wow.
Okay. Right. So nevertheless, one of my eternal memories of going to Steelers games, and my dad is thankfully still alive, but even when he passed on, one of my favorite memories with my dad was being at that 2008 game against the Cowboys when Deshae had that pick 6 and turned the game around, and that's just like
I heard that was a bitterly cold game.
It was really cold
and windy.
And we had this Cowboys fan sitting in front of us, and at the start of the fourth quarter, he was like, "Well, Tony Romo's hasn't thrown a fourth quarter interception all game." And after that play, I just leaned forward and I was like, "Hey, how about that fourth quarter interception stat?" And he was like, "Oh man." But that is one of my favorite memories of being with my dad at the stadium, and yes, maybe I'm being a little biased, but I hold a very special place in my heart for Deshae Townsend for that play alone, but he was a very solid player for a long time. So I'm going with Ike and Deshae.
That's fair.
Yeah. Ben, go ahead.
This is actually a really, really easy one for me to choose.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 1 through 4, and we're going to be done with it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's Ike, Deshae, Willie Gay, and then Joe Hayden. And I only give Willie Gay the nod as number 3 because of his numerous returns for touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the dude was,
I think it was
like 6, 7.
I think it was 5 straight pick 6, 5 straight interceptions returned for a touchdown. I think NFL record.
It was ridiculous.
The thing that I loved about Willie is, you remember when he went off to Arizona, and most people weren't really that upset to see him go.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he was
so
like
good.
oh man, he was a completely different player.
It was like, oh my God, it was so good here. I should.
Yeah. Scarp.
Yeah. Ike is my 1. Deshae is my 2. Yeah, Willie Gay's my 3, and then you know, I'm gonna throw a vote out here because I think he was really, really good for us, and he hasn't been as good since he left. No, Mike Hilton. I thought Mike Hilton really excelled.
He did
for us
in the
role. But yeah, it is funny. It is funny though that William Gay was considered like not a really good player.
Ike and Coakley. Oh my God.
Remember Ricardo Coakley?
Yeah, Ricardo Coakley. Terrible.
You know what? Mark Malone's mustache, that is some PTSD shit. You should not be bringing up.
But I would take a Willie Gay caliber type player on this defense right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure, dude. No, you're right.
I'll give a nod to McFadden, but I will also go with the foursome of Taylor, Townsend, Gay, and Hayden there.
Those are going to be my 2 picks for second team as well.
Okay.
Hayden was absolutely what we needed at that time. We were so lucky.
Blake.
It was Antoine Blake to start.
Antoine. That's right. He changed his name.
He didn't change his name till he left, dude.
He changed his name. He had a pick 6 against the Chargers.
He did.
That was a huge
Mike
play.
Vick one. Yeah.
Cortez, I saw his at
he had a pick 6 against the Packers. Matt Flynn.
Yeah, that's right.
Just think, Scarps, you were down on the field that game, weren't you?
Fucking right.
And I was in the stands, completely blitzed out of my mind.
You were probably yelling at me from behind.
There's a good chance.
Far superior player to Valentino Blake.
Well,
even though he played less.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. No, Hayden, we were so lucky that the Browns cut him when they did. And he was absolutely the player we needed. The
best part about that story, I'm sorry, I have to interject.
Good.
The best part about the story is he leaves the Browns, flies to Carolina because he wants to sign with the Steelers, and tells the Steelers, this is the deal the Browns were offering me.
Mm-hmm.
The very same deal, which is a pay cut in Cleveland. He signs the same deal to play in Pittsburgh instead. I like that. So you're willing to take less money to play in Pittsburgh and go away. And I did not realize the dude played 68 games. I didn't put that together. He played for a long time in Pittsburgh. Anyway, love Joe Hayden.
That's a good question, Zach. The splits for 21 and 23? I'm not sure.
The one thing that surprised me, though, because Chad Scott was drafted in the late 90s, was that he had 16 interceptions after the year 2000.
I would not have guessed that.
I would not have guessed that either, because my memory of him is him getting torched all over the field.
When was he drafted?
98, 97, 98, somewhere in there. Yeah. Because he was
the
the last first-round corner we took until Artie Burns.
Interceptions. Right? Huh. Well, yeah, honestly, like, that was basically him and Dwayne Washington.
Dwayne Washington was terrible.
But their thing,
nickname Toast.
Their thing was either pick the ball off or allow a big gain. It was one of the two. Like, never anything in between. Yeah. It was either a 20-yard gain or they picked the ball off. Rarely ever was it something in between.
No love for Artie Burns from the three of you?
I thought that Scarps was going to vote for him, but he voted for the guy with the even lower career AV in Mike Hilton.
All right.
We all talk shit on each other, and this today is no exception.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard. This is hard, dude. I'm like,
yeah.
Chris Hope. I mean, shit. How do you leave this guy off?
You don't.
That's where I'm at. I'm like, Mike Mitchell. I know that's a Scarpino favorite.
And Ian's least
even
favorite.
though he sucked, he's still on the list.
Pick on somebody else tonight, man.
All right. So I prefaced this earlier that that I said.
Sean Davis.
Back before I joined the Steel City Blitz crew, I had my own blog that I wrote for.
Right.
That I wrote basically myself. And James Harrison had won Defensive Player of the Year in 2008. And I started writing an article in 2010 about how James Harrison should win it again. And by the end of the article, I had talked myself into Troy Polamalu should be Defensive Player of the Year because Troy was having that damn good of a season.
Yeah.
And and there aren't words that you can put together in the English language to describe how good of a player Troy Polamalu was. Like, you just had to see him and experience it and be part of it to understand how fucking good Troy Polamalu was. So, I mean, Polamalu is the slam dunk here, and
Morgan Burnett.
And
super funny.
And since, in the interest of time, since we've already been going for almost an hour and a half, so my 4 in order are Troy, Minkah, Chris Hope, and Ryan Clark. I felt like
choice.
Ryan Clark was one of the most overrated Steelers of my lifetime, that he often was looking for the big hit instead of the ball. Clark could have had so many more plays if he had his head up and been looking for the ball instead of trying to lay somebody out. Like, yes, I was in the stadium for the Willis McGahee hit, and that was actually scary because I didn't know if that guy was ever going to, like,
I didn't think either one of them were going to get up.
Yeah, but I mean, Clark still gave a lot to this team. He won a Super Bowl. He was a really good compliment to Polamalu. Yeah. He did make a Pro Bowl later in his career. And Chris Hope, I mean, Hope was really, really friggin' good. Even while he was here, won Super Bowl 40 with us, went on to Tennessee, had a good career. And rings matter to me, but Minkah having 2 All-Pros, 4 Pro Bowls, I mean, Minkah basically has half of Troy's stats without the Super Bowls, obviously, but half of Troy's stats in half of the games played. So that said, Minkah is now entering the back half of his career, and you would have hoped that he would have racked up more stats, especially over the past few seasons.
Scott Shields.
But I love it. You all in the chat are amazing. But those are my 4: is Troy, Minkah, Hope, and Clark.
Scarbs, what do you got?
Troy 1.
Yep.
Chris Hope 2.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Larry Foote, very early on when I worked there, Larry Foote was in the locker room, and he came up to me and he said, "What do you know about Chris Hope?" And I'll never forget that he asked me that.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I only had the 2005, 4 or 5 seasons, you know.
Right.
And he's like, "That's good enough," and that's all I needed to know. Y'all know how I feel about Minkah, but I'm going to put him at 3, and then I'll put Ryan Clark at 4, because I actually think Ryan is actually under-celebrated as a Steeler, Ian, and we usually don't disagree, but I think Ryan was a really good football player, and
I disagree all the time. What are you talking about? That's
Ian and I are actually usually on the same page. You and I fucking argue.
Well, you
Ben,
guys
what do you got?
You should look at the big picture. I got Troy. That's obvious. I mean, my God. So we got Troy. We got Minkah. We got Chris Hope, who was really fucking good, and I'm really sad that he left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the Chris Hope leaving, that was a big deal, man.
It was.
Mr. Bozick, how you doing there, dickhead? Nice of you to show up late. So where the fuck was that? Chris Hope and then Ryan Clark.
Okay, so who are your 4? Troy,
Troy, Minkah, Chris Hope, Ryan Clark.
Oh, you went Minkah too.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. I don't know how you don't have Ryan Clark on this list somewhere. I do agree with Ian. There were plenty of times I do remember screaming, "Get your head up!" as a ball would go zinging right past him.
Didn't you say that when Shazier was tackling? Get your goddamn head up. Like we talked about that on this show for years before he hurt himself.
Wow.
Too soon.
I did, but
too soon?
Nah.
How long ago?
Nah, I don't know.
I mean, the dude,
nothing offends me.
But I'll go Troy Clark, Minka, and man, it's hard not to take Chris Hope there. Even though I am surprised by Brent Alexander's 15 picks. I would not have guessed that. Would not have guessed that.
He was a good ball hawk.
He was. Yeah. Anyone else need to get their Final Four in?
So you voted Clark second, Minka third, Hope
correct.
Fourth. All right.
Hope fourth. Yep.
Hope fourth. All right. So then based on our votes, that puts Troy and Minka as first team and Hope and Clark as second team.
Perfect. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alexander's out.
Yep.
Punters.
Oh,
wait,
boy.
Josh Miller punted in the 2000s?
He did.
Yes, he did.
62 games worth.
Yeah.
Well,
he
like
Bill
Cowher hated his ass. So
my lasting memory of Josh Miller was in the 2001 AFC Championship game. He was a left-footed punter, right? They have the ball on the left hash mark. He booms like a 70-yard punt. It rolled a little bit down the sidelines, but he boomed this amazing punt down the sidelines. And what's his fuck? The guy who we drafted out of Louisiana Tech who sucked ass.
Troy Edwards.
Troy Edwards ran out of bounds. And listen, I was in the stadium for this, so I remember this clearly, right? The ball was on the left hash mark. He was a left-footed punter, and he punted it down the left sideline for so many yards, right? Troy Edwards ran out of bounds. They moved it back 5 yards.
Yeah.
They moved the ball from the left hash to the right hash, and he kicked the ball down the middle of the field because he's a left-footed punter, and Troy Brown returned it for a touchdown. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I don't know if the referees were actually allowed to move that ball from the left hash to the right hash, but I'm still mad about that to this day. But as
you should be.
Yes, as I should be.
Yep.
Gardocki won a Super Bowl. We had some really bad punters. Like
Jordan Berry was outstanding. What are you talking about?
Wait a minute. Who
Sepulveda was very fun when he was healthy.
Who was the punter for Super Bowl 40?
Was it Paul Ernster? No.
I thought Sepulveda got one, didn't he?
No, Sepulveda got hurt. Sepulveda got
Gardocki was 40.
Yeah, Gardocki.
Okay, he was 40.
He was
Mitch Berger was 43.
Berger, that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger's cousin, Mitch.
Yeah.
That's right.
And there was like Paul Ernster was in there too. Like we had some really bad punters.
Oh man, we went. I'm just gonna go ahead. Can we all just agree on Greg Warren for a long snapper?
Oh yeah,
that's for sure. That's a gimme.
Yeah.
But as far as the punter goes, I'm gonna go with Daniel Sepulveda because
he could kill it, man.
Ridiculous fucking hits when the returner would actually get loose.
That's right.
Yeah,
you would cringe because you were like, oh fuck, here it comes. Oh my god. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. And you were like, oh God.
He would bring it.
Oh my god. You were like, the dude would take a returner out of the game every time that happened. And he was supposed to be the safety on the play. And I was like, why don't you have another guy play safety and have Sepulveda actually cover the kick?
Did he blow a knee in both of the Super Bowl years?
How many times did he tear his ACL?
It was many times, but no, he was drafted in 07, so he wasn't here for the first Super Bowl.
Okay, all right. So, but it was definitely for 43.
Yeah.
But that dude, I mean, like, fuck, man. Every time a runner got loose, and all he had to do was beat the punter.
Yeah.
Sepulveda would
drill him. Yeah.
Sepulveda would stop the guy dead, and like the guy wouldn't play the rest of the game.
I was gonna pick Gardocki because he won a Super Bowl, but he never had a punt blocked, right? Yeah,
that's also true. Yeah. Scarps, who's your guy?
They signed him, right? He never had a punt block.
Who's my punter?
Yeah. We've already said Greg Warren's our long snapper. That's unanimous.
Yeah, Greg, great fucking dude. My punter, not on the list.
Oh,
but nevertheless.
He needs a drink.
I drank my own drinking game with Ian. Jeremy Capanos.
Oh wow!
I had to thank Ian. 2010. He filled in for Sepulveda 2 straight years. He didn't have the greatest net in 2010, but in 2011,
it's like 34 yards or something.
2010, it was 33 yards.
33 yards. All
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Our special teams units were terrible back then, though. But then he had almost 40 yards net in 2011. But in 2010, in the postseason, in 2 really, really cold games, and then the Super Bowl, he averaged almost 50 yards a punt.
No shit.
Go back another 200 for another team.
So who are we? Who's our guy here?
You got to pick, Mark. We've got
the only one left.
Sepulveda and Kapanos. Yeah.
Here's a guy.
Here's a guy. Well, I'm sure as hell not picking Jordan Berry. The fact that he's even on this list, Jesus,
dude, I'm pretty sure Jordan Berry leads is
91 games for the Steelers.
Isn't that amazing?
Are you shitting me?
I think Berry's the all-time leader in net yards per punt for the Steelers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know what? I'm going to go with Ben here. Give me Sepulveda for his tackling abilities.
My God, dude. Like, seriously.
If nothing else, you knew the guy could tackle.
I would cringe every time. Every time it happened, I was like, oh, God.
Unbelievable. Great person.
Good.
That dude was jacked also. That dude legit had unbelievable. Just couldn't stay healthy, man.
No.
It sucks.
No. So I'll go Sepulveda, and then obviously Warren's our long snapper.
Not Mike Schneck?
No, he seemed like a nice person, but
James Harrison is long snapper. Remember what he had to do?
That was
yeah,
for Greg
that was
Warren.
Amazing.
Yep.
Well, and then who came? Jared Redkowski came in for Greg Warren the Super Bowl year. Remember that?
Oh, God,
Yeah,
I don't even
right.
remember his name.
Yeah, that was 2008. That was the year that he got hurt and Harrison had the long snap against the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared
ACL.
Jared Redkowski. He filled in for Greg Warren.
Wow, I totally forgot about that dude. All right, great job. We have our offense and our defense. We'll post those to the socials. And an hour and a half already. And
we haven't done Casey.
What better way to end it than with Mr. Casey Kasem and your top 40?
Oh, boy. This is going to be interesting. Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was June 26, 1982. Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us again this week, and he writes, Dear Casey, I'm sure by now you've heard that former Ravens kicker and current free agent Justin Tucker was suspended 10 games for violating the league's personal conduct policy. I got to hand it to him. I thought he'd get at least a full season suspension and $230 million guaranteed, like a certain shitty Browns quarterback. But don't worry, Casey. I'm told Tucker is going to be working on taking a couple of strokes off his golf game. Oddly enough, Deshaun Watson is his caddy, and Robert Kraft is his swing coach. I'm hoping there's some sort of happy ending there. Everyone relax, they're just jokes. Speaking of recreational activities, former Steeler David DeCastro is still waiting for approval to open his marijuana dispensary. I drive past the location daily, and today it got me thinking, what kind of strains do you think they'll offer? This is for Steelers Freak. I have some ideas. Of course, we have David DeCastro.
Oh.
Bud Dupree. The jokes write themselves. Ben Reeferless Burger. I'm going to laugh the whole time.
It's okay. All good, Casey.
I digress, Casey. Mean Joe, the finest green. Ben, the chronic squironic.
Like it?
I don't know why this one made me laugh so much. But Myron Dope.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Shit.
Does that come in a gold bag?
Yeah. It comes in a double joint.
Wow.
Oh, fuck. Rod? I'll give you a... Rod Weedson. Mel Blunt. And Alex Highsmith. Shit. Again, the jokes write themselves. This is like Atlanta. This is amazing.
No, Atlanta was way worse.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was fun.
We got Chris Bongswell.
I thought he was done.
So did I.
Marquise Ouncey. And my favorite, Casey, Dwight, I think I'm stoned. Casey, legalizing recreational marijuana is the trend. Hell, even Texas is considering joining the fun.
Yep.
Speaking of trending, Casey, our very own Ben Anderson was trending this past week after posting about George Pickens.
Oh, wow.
I must say, it's nice to not be the guy who trends on Twitter for commenting about a Steelers wide receiver acting like a total asshole. Casey?
Wow.
Casey, trust me, bro. Casey, Ben's tweet went so viral, it needed a throat culture. Ben's tweet broke the internet more than Kim Kardashian's ass. Ben's tweet spread faster than the clap after the 2005 Shaler Area High School prom. Again, trust me, bro. Of course, there were many who didn't like Ben's comments. The Pickens apologists,
Oh, yeah.
who are still glazing him like Krispy Kreme. They were coming at Ben left and right. He was blocking like Alan Faneca. My advice to my friend Ben, don't talk to strangers. Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And keep your radio tuned right where it is. Down 3 spots to number 17 this week. Here's Rick Springfield with Don't Talk to Strangers.
Now I know why you said you couldn't get through it.
I fucking laughed for the whole time I wrote it. I don't know if that's sad or not.
Just for clarification purposes, we do not know what Casey is going to be before the show.
Nope. Ever.
We get little hints about whether it's good, bad, and different, but we want to be surprised. Anyway, thanks for hanging with us tonight, everybody. 90 plus minutes of great content as always. Make sure you check out the site, stillcityblitz.com. Check us out on all our socials, and don't forget you can get the We've Had Some Drinks podcast t-shirt at dc4lcustomtees.com. And don't forget, everybody, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. I mean, yeah, they're better than we are, but fuck those guys.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.